Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. This one is kind of just reflecting and having realizations that I'm blowing my own mind with at the moment. But I think the older I get, the more I'm beginning to appreciate George Harrison and realizing that maybe I always secretly, subconsciously did and didn't realize I did. So, backstory. If you have ever asked me who my favorite Beatle is, or to rank my order of favorite Beatles, I mean, by default, someone has to land on bottom, right? And it's pretty much always gone to George at the bottom, and I feel bad about that. But it's like, well, by nature of making a list, somebody has to come in last place. So I was like Ringo, Paul, John, George. But, anyway, I sit with that, and I realize even when I was a little kid, I would go around saying shit like, oh, I don't care much for George, or I don't really like George, he's boring. But I'm sitting here as an adult thinking about this and realizing, but I don't find him boring, though. Like, when I hear his songs come on, Beatle or otherwise, I actually quite enjoy them. On a lot of Beatle albums, actually, his songs tend to be the highlight for me. So, why the frick do I say that? Even of his solo stuff, there generally hasn't been a whole lot that I've heard that I've not liked. Granted, there's a lot of things I haven't heard, so I mean, I'm limited by how much I have heard, but of what I have, I've pretty much always liked that too. So, okay, clearly, it is not an issue of his songs don't interest me. I don't know why I claim that they bore me, because they don't. Like, actually, I stop and I think about it, and I'm like, wait. So, because of him, I at one point wanted to take up sitar. But tell me again how George is boring, yet he's interesting enough to where sparked that whole thing, and successfully sparked up me picking up ukulele because of him. But yeah, tell me again how he's boring. So I'm challenging that belief, right? Challenging the belief that even as a little kid, being like, oh, he's ugly though, he looks like a drowned rat. I'm like, but he doesn't though, and I don't know why I said that. I mean, little kid logic that kind of just, once it's in there, sometimes it's harder to dislodge the thought than others. But, yeah, I used to, like, when I would draw pictures of the Beatles, I feel bad. I used to draw him as a little drowned rat and be like, that one's George. It's like, dude, what the hell? What was your problem? Because I look at pictures of George now and I'm like, actually, it ain't even a matter of, it's like, oh, well, I find Paul and Ringo cute and not you two. It's like, no, because actually, if we look at the Beatle years, by the later years, he comes out looking the best of all of them. And then even looking at the earlier years, it's like, he's not ugly, though. He's kind of like a cute little puppy or something, but he's not ugly, so why the hell would I say something like that? I don't know. So again, trying to unlearn that thought, because I'm realizing that does not apply to how I actually think today, if it ever did. So time to unlearn those problematic thought processes. Thinking about things like, oh, well, he's just boring. It's like, is he though? Is he? Because think about, who's the one that you end up quoting more than any of them? From the movies, from interviews, like, George. So he must not be that boring. He might be quieter, but he makes the words count when he does speak. And it's like, huh, okay, apparently I don't actually find him boring, and he's funny. He had a hell of a sense of humor on him. I mean, he single-handedly helped keep Monty Python afloat. He wouldn't have been friends with all of them if he himself didn't have a good sense of humor, right? And he did lots of awesome comedy things that he was involved in throughout his career. So, okay, time to throw that thought away and dismantle that one. And then things like, oh, well, I mean, he's kind of weird with, like, all the Indian stuff and, like, the uber religious stuff. Yeah, the older I've gotten, the more spiritual and religious I've gotten, the more actually that appeals to me now. So it's like, okay, again, another thought to just put in the mental shredder and relearn a better thought process for now. Thinking about, oh gosh, what else? I had these all planned out in my head before I came on here. I had a lot of good points that I made with myself and then was like, I should make a video about this. even things like, as a little kid being like, oh, but he's weird, like, he's a recluse, nobody really saw him post-Beatle years. Bitch, you are a recluse too! You also prefer to be at home and surrounded by nature and would much rather spend time in a garden than around people. So, actually, you're probably the most like himself. It's like, I'm gonna sit down and shut up. Yeah, that would probably be smart. So, okay, there's that point. Thought maybe that I perceived he somehow snubbed the Beatles by him not really wanting to associate with Beatle-related things in the post-Beatle years, but then I stop and think about it, and I can come up with any great number of examples of him 100% embracing the Beatle thing when it suited him. So it's clearly not that either. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, do I really have anything at all negative to say about George then? And I'm realizing that answer comes no. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so had the realization that, okay, it's not even like a perceived rejection of the Beatles kind of thing, because maybe that was my beef when I was a little kid that I just got in my head and never let go. Nope, clearly it is not that. Then I was thinking maybe could it have been just the perceived beef between he and George and Team McCartney, therefore fuck George? And I'm like, well, first off, there's plenty to unravel with that of. We don't have to pick sides, first off. Second, even so, yeah, by the end, I mean, did he not die in one of Paul's properties? Yeah, they were okay when he went. Therefore, why should you hold something against him for a perceived slight that wasn't even applicable when he was still alive? Okay, another one to just dismiss that thought. Oh, well, he didn't want to embrace the fans, and fans are the ones who put him there, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Who was the one who did that MSN live chat shortly before he died? With the fans. Granted, I had to miss it because I was at school, but, like, I'm still forever salty over it. Yeah, he definitely did do that. Was he generally more standoffish because he didn't really want the trappings of fame? Sure, and that's fine. Like I said, I get that. I understand his mindset totally there. But I don't think he had an issue with fans in that kind of capacity. Actually, from the people I know who were George fans before he went, who actually wrote to him, he actually replied to, like, every single one of them. And I'm over here like, I never got a single reply out of Paul or Ringo. I feel gypped now that I didn't try George. Apparently I should have tried George. Anyway, so that's like a whole ass thing too, where I'm just like, can't really use that as a defense either, so, So then I'm just like, alright, did I just perceive that he was kind of train wrecky in the 70s? Because if we're going by that, Ringo was way more train wrecky and he's your fave. So again, wrong. Get that out of here. Sometimes all the walking hypocrisies that George could be at the same time, despite being the same person. Am I not exactly the same damn way myself? Therefore, okay, yeah, maybe don't hold that against the poor guy. Is it because he seemed more cranky and cynical and actually realistic about stuff when he'd be asked to recount his own history? Yeah, the older I get, the more I relate to that too, and I'm like, actually, George was pretty based. Like, let's be so for real, he was actually really based. And if I actually, in fact, did not care that much about George, despite anything I may have claimed, did I not go see Danny Harrison like a handful of years ago and fangirl really hard when I got to meet him after the show, to the point where first words out of my mouth were just word vomit of, I named my ukulele after your dad. All the things I could have fucking said. To the point where he, like, offers me his vape, like, do you need this more than I do? And I think so. Took a hit off and gave it back, but I was like, and how giddy I was after the fact, thinking about this, realizing that, hey, by 6 degrees of separation, my lips have touched a thing that Beatle offspring's lips have touched, therefore, I have had Beatle offspring DNA in my mouth. Which is like, just one shade away from Beatle DNA being there. And given it's George, and I was just like obsessing over this, clearly I care a little more than I let on, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking about all this, realizing, oh my god, yet again, this shit has happened where the member of the band for years I kind of dismissed and didn't think too much about snuck up and played the long game on me. And I'm realizing, actually, I do really like them and their stuff. Oh my god, I have only robbed myself this whole time. I'm hurting no one but me by living in that denial all of those years. But, like I said, the older I get, the more perspective I gained in life, the more that, like, therapy leads me to just challenge beliefs that don't necessarily hold true anymore, if they ever did at all. Was this supposed to be one of those? No, but now that my brain is used to thinking about those kind of things, I find myself challenging it with so much stuff across the board that isn't even that deep in reality, but I'm just sitting here like, huh. It's a good point, you know, why do I say that when clearly it is not true? I don't know. So, I guess, apparently I care a lot more about George Harrison than I thought I did. I mean, even at this, who was the first Beatle I read a book that one of them wrote? It wasn't John. It wasn't Paul. It wasn't even Ringo. Tell you who it was. I'll give you a little hint. It was George. Read that thing when I was 12. And I can still quote sections of it to this day, even though I have not read it since I was 12. So, again, clearly I must be putting some type of importance on this guy that I claim I don't care that much about. Yeah, it's like, alright, I guess I do. Fine, y'all win. You all win. And with that in mind, I mean, like, a couple of years ago, I just finally listened to Brainwashed for the first time, despite having bought it the day it came out. Never even broke the shrink wrap on it till like 2 years ago around this time. And then realized this is a fantastic album! Oh my god, I've chipped myself out of enjoying it all these years. Methinks it's time to finally listen to All Things Must Pass. I have had that since I was about 14. And that one I've gotten about as far as disc 1 and never made it further in it. Which is so stupid, because that's like his magnum opus, right? So, I'm over here. Like, I think I should finally listen to it. It wasn't through any kind of snub that I didn't do it before. It was more just like an attention span thing where I was like, ooh, that's like a lot of tracks. But I'm like, yeah, it's not really though. So I'm thinking this year, I listened to the whole thing, not just the regular album. I'm thinking that 50th anniversary super deluxe version that's on Spotify that's like 5 discs long. And I review it for like the anniversary of George's passing. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea since I've never listened to the whole thing. And I think it's time to actually start seeking out more of his solo work because I'm like, I have enjoyed what I've heard. Why have I not done that sooner? Like, I used to be limited by what I could afford or by what I could like find access to locally, but we live in a digital world now where streaming is at my fingertips and YouTube is at my fingertips. If it's not on one, it's probably on the other. Therefore, I have no excuses for not. So I think I'm going to. Because honestly, this seems silly that I've made it 40 years on this planet. Most of those years a Beatles fan, and yet just never prioritized getting to George's stuff sooner. I say it's time we work on changing that. What do you say? I think it is. Or, you know, maybe just no one gives a shit and I'm the only one who cares, which is more likely, but that's okay too. But still, it's just, it's gonna take a while to unlearn that thought process though, because I still find my knee-jerk reaction wanting to say those words I've said so many times of, oh, I don't care that much for George. It's like, Yeah, I gotta get myself out of that habit because it's not true. It is literally not true. It is not a conscious, active lie. It's just my own conditioning with myself over the years of I don't even know why. I don't even know why. But I'm working on fixing it.